Axel, you just came off a really interesting conversation around creating value in the energy services and the supply chain. And so I would like to hear from you, what's that one takeaway that you would like people, whether they were in the audience or maybe they weren't able to join us, what's that one thing that people need to know?
Well, there's one thing people should know, and what we are keen really to deliver is the strategic relationships between buyer and supplier.
Okay.
So we look at the supply chain. Obviously, we make our assessment about the landscape of potential suppliers for equipment and for services, and we have identified core and strategic suppliers and would like to get with them into a strategic relationship. What does it mean? That means that we are involving them as early as possible into the projects, so to speed them up, and sometimes also jointly with them develop some key features of that project. An example would be gas-fired power stations. We will have additional capacity in Europe, and there are some tenders for it. And for some of those tenders, we are entering these tenders together with the OEMs, with the manufacturers. So to be fully aware, we are in the same boat, and both sides have to be competitive to win the tenders at the end of the day.
Well, I want to talk a little bit more about that gas-fired power markets. But first, I mean, in a LinkedIn post earlier this year, you said that AI was transforming procurement. And so I'd like to hear from you, how are you using AI today to transform procurement? And how do you see that use case evolving into the future?
Yeah, I think AI is transforming all our businesses. What are we doing? Actually, first of us, you have to get the quality of data right. Yeah,
Okay.
because to make use of AI properly, you need a good database. You need a single point of truth to really gain efficiency through AI usage. Concrete examples, we have a market intelligence team. So they look at the market, they look at fundamentals, they help the procurement experts negotiate in a better way by analyzing markets, prices, price indexations, etc. So obviously, with the usage of AI, this is more efficient. This is both broader and deeper.
Okay.
Because you have access to just more data in a structured way. In addition to that, of course, we are also transforming the procurement processes. Automation is really important so that procurement managers can focus on the big ticket items, on the strategic stuff, on negotiation strategy, and to have an impact there. Whilst, let's call it the procurement in terms of, a lot of purchase orders, the regular stuff from a catalog system, each and every employee is buying every day, that this is automized. So that is to get from a purchase requisition to a purchase order. This is meanwhile an automated process in our company. And this is a lot of digitization. And at the end of the day, of course, it's also then making use of AI for the buyer in our company to say, okay, I have this requisition. Let's make use of a chatbot. Let's use agents for procurement to just be more efficient and focus on the more strategic stuff.
Yeah, saving that time and that mind space for those things that take that deeper thinking.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the trends you're seeing in the markets. And certainly you mentioned natural gas-fired power earlier. We've heard a lot about delays in procuring turbines and cost increases. And so what are you seeing when it comes to the gas-fired turbine market?
Well, the delays are coming, my perspective, mainly from the political landscape and from the regulatory schemes.
Okay.
Because why are we adding gas-fired stations? Actually, we as Uniper, we are keen to transform our business areas, which means currently we have a base of power stations which are 80% conventional and 20% green. And we would like to shift that and transform that to 80% green by the beginning of the 2030s. So there, gas-fired power generation plays a pivotal role. There are two dimensions. One is new additional gas-fired power generation, which is hydrogen ready for green hydrogen usage instead of natural gas. That's, for example, the case in Germany. That's what we are developing. Whilst in the UK, we are looking at gas-fired power stations with carbon capture storage additions.
Okay.
And for both, we need a regulatory scheme, we need certainty on these development, and we need clear criteria, because at the end of the day, there will be tenders in the countries and we have to know what kind of products we have to develop. This has been delayed, and therefore this scheme is a little delayed. So your question regarding prices, there is this big and bigger capacity market, because we all, we are fan of sustainability and renewable aspects. Nevertheless, we need some flexibility in the market, and we need some power generation which is dispatchable. So to secure that, a lot of companies, a lot of countries are looking into gas-fired power stations in future. And that results actually in an undersupply, potential undersupply of, for example, gas turbines in future. And they have a long lead time. So that drives prices up. And to overcome that, for example, we are entering into strategic partnerships with some of the major suppliers of gas turbines to sit in the boat, to sit in the same boat, and then also jointly enter into those tenders to make use of that and add additional reliable, secure capacity for the future power demand.
So coming back to that alignment that you mentioned earlier in the conversation, but I want to ask a similar question around the cost for renewable equipment, whether it's solar, whether it's wind. What are the price trends that you're seeing there?
It varies depending where you are buying and depending what exact market you're entering.
Okay.
For example, in solar, it is mainly Chinese suppliers, and there we have seen efficiency gains, and also with higher scalability and larger plants. We have also seen in solar as well as in batteries some declining cost basis. Yeah. At the same time, of course, if you want to have a competitive landscape of suppliers and also a diversified portfolio across regions, then we have to say that obviously in Europe, etc., we have to still remain competitive and potentially also develop an additional supplier base for these kind of equipment. Because having all eggs in one basket, for example, Chinese suppliers, also comes naturally with some risks which we have to mitigate. That's the long supply chain from China. That is also talking about security. That is something we should have in mind, and by that also try to counterbalance that.
Well, and so how do those two trends that we've just talked about in terms of the pricing for natural gas turbines and building additional capacity there, and the pricing for building additional renewable capacity, how is that factoring into Uniper's decisions around what to build?
Actually, our strategy is to do both.
Okay.
Because by definition, we have an increasing power demand for the future. And we want to have the power supply steadily greener. And consequently, it's a natural step that we as Uniper, similar to our competitors, are developing renewable equipment and electricity and renewable projects. So that is a given. At the same time, unfortunately, if we look at wind and solar, and if you're looking at the so-called Dunkelflaute, so when neither solar nor wind is available, we need some additional reliable capacity, and that would be clean gas-fired power generation. So either with hydrogen usage or with carbon capture storage. And therefore, we are also developing some additional gas-fired power stations. And we're developing those projects in various countries because we need a sustainable energy supply business for the future, and also a steadily greener energy supply. That's, I think, one wouldn't happen without the other.
Well, Axel, thank you very much for the interesting conversation and for joining us here on the Debrief. And I hope I can look forward to seeing you again at the summit next year.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Excellent.